This individual showed up to impede a law enforcement operation and assaulted our officers. They responded according to their training and took action to defend the officer's life and those of the public around him. And I don't know of any peaceful protester that shows up with a gun and ammunition rather than a sign. This is a violent riot when you have someone showing up with weapons and are using them to assault law enforcement officers. When you perpetuate violence against a government because of ideological reasons and for reasons to resist and perpetuate violence, that is the definition of domestic terrorism. This individual who came with weapons and ammunition to stop a law enforcement operation of federal law enforcement officers committed an act.
At 9:05 a.m. Central Standard Time, as DHS law enforcement officers were conducting a targeted operation in Minneapolis against an illegal alien, Jose Huerta Chuma. You can see this illegal alien on the screen to my left and right. That is Jose Huerta Chuma, whose criminal history includes domestic assault to intentionally inflict bodily harm, disorderly conduct, and driving without a valid license. During this operation, an individual approached U.S. Border Patrol agents with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The agents attempted to disarm the individual, but he violently resisted. Fearing for his life and the lives and safety of fellow officers, a Border Patrol agent fired defensive shots. Medics on the scene immediately delivered medical aid to the subject, but the subject was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect also had 2 loaded magazines and no accessible ID. This looks like a situation where an individual wanted to do maximum damage.
I saw this creator responding to this comment left to them by the parent of an ICE agent. And that got me thinking, if you're the parent of an ICE agent or an ICE agent, you may want to tune in. See, my mother's always been there to help me see what I wasn't seeing, to offer me words of wisdom when I was operating in life without an eye for consequences. Please allow me to offer that to you now. I am actually trying to help, believe it or not. See, you seem to be operating as though this administration will always be in power. Nothing could be further from the truth. And when a new presidential administration does make it into office with an eye for holding these guys accountable, 2 things are going to happen. They will happen. The only question is when. Number 1, the Supreme Court will get stacked, either 13 or 15 justices. And number 2, this is where you need to pay close attention. When Trump came into office this time, he completely gutted the Civil Rights Division at the Department of Justice. Then through the big, beautiful bill, he allocated tens of millions of new budgetary dollars to ICE and DHS. You obviously know that. But when a new presidential administration comes in to hold these guys accountable, they're going to take those dollars from DHS and ICE. They're going to throw them back at the Civil Rights Division at the Department of Justice, and they are going to hire a shit ton of attorneys to process the backlog of civil rights abuse cases that will be easily prosecutable using the audio and visual documentation currently being compiled. Many of you think that those masks will help you avoid accountability, but they will not, because if you think about it, you've been walking around with a cell phone in one of those tactical pockets of yours, and all they need to do is take the date, time, and location stamp from that video documentation and superimpose it with the date, time, and location stamp of your cell phone records, and when the courtroom portion of the shitty reality TV show does begin, ICE agents will begin throwing one another under the bus to offering testimony to avoid accountability for themselves. And Kristi Noem's not going to keep you out of the hot seat. She can't even keep herself out of the hot seat. And if you're a minority ICE agent, I wonder if you put any thought into when that does all start, who do you think those racist white ICE agents are going to point the finger at? Anyway, for all ICE agents, at the very least, at a bare minimum, at some point in the future, there will be a knock at your door. You are going to spend years of your life fighting in court, both criminally and civilly. That's a fact. Worst case scenario is you will go to prison if you truly are involved in violating someone's constitutional rights. And if you're a minority ICE agent, I wonder who you will look to for protection in prison. The Aryan gangs aren't going to help you, and I doubt the ethnically specific gangs are going to want too much to do with you either. And I wonder, during this period of time, how many of their relatives you will detain and or deport. Remember, guys, I know you got a $50,000 bonus, but all that glitters is not gold. This will happen. It's just a matter of when.
Attention, ICE. Let me just say something that most people, most journalists will not say. They can't say it. I understand that. But I'm an independent journalist now, so I can't say it. Fuck off, ICE. Fuck all the way off. You are low-life losers, and you feel empowered by your dear leader, Donald Trump. You have never had this position of power before, small person, and you are treating people in an inhumane way, and you don't even understand why, because you're too dumb to figure it out. You are the poorly educated that Donald Trump loves. That's who you are. And you're out there doing his bidding, doing things that are illegal, doing things that are unconstitutional, doing things that are inhumane, like killing someone because you're pissed off because this person may be notifying people that you're in the area trying to round people up. That is that person's First Amendment right to do. You can do that as an American, but maybe not in Donald Trump's America. You are fat fuck losers who just crawled out of a trailer park from some Proud Boy meeting, or if not worse, some other group that could be worse than him. You are thugs, jack-booted thugs. And now let me just say this. Because you don't understand this, let me make it clear to you, okay? The Democrats are right. You do not have to follow unlawful orders, but perhaps you don't know that, or maybe you just don't care. Maybe you have not been trained. Most of you, I'm sure, have not been trained properly. And so you do things like you did with that young lady who should be alive. And she is not alive today, simply because you're all jacked up on power that's not even really yours. And in the end, you could end up losing your freedom by going to jail because you did something that you were not empowered to do, that you were not trained for. And you will end up going to jail and losing your freedom. Donald Trump cannot pardon you if this is a state charge. And so you stupid, dumb, ignorant, poorly educated, Proud Boys, Nazis marching through whatever it is you are. And that mask that you're wearing, why won't you identify yourselves? If you're big enough and bold enough to be able to shoot someone and have the power to be able to take their lives, then you should be big enough and bold enough to show your face. You should be transparent. Show people who you are. If you really think you are as big and as powerful as you think you are, you would not be afraid of that. What are you afraid of? You're afraid of losing your life? We all are afraid of losing our lives. Certainly, that young woman lost hers. Her family will never see her again. Her child is never going to see her again. She did not have her face covered when you shot her and killed her. And by all accounts, from anyone who is fair-minded anywhere, if you're looking at that video shows you, I don't care what angle it is from, that there was no justification for that woman losing her life. Because you are ticked off because you think that you should have you should be able to just round people off the streets without any due process, without any training. Any police officer, I believe, in my opinion, who did what that officer did in Minnesota and killed that woman would be in jail right now and would be facing an arraignment and a hearing, and the news would be covering it. But because it's Donald Trump and they are protecting and covering it up, that is not happening. But mark my words, karma is a bitch. And this administration is going to find out. And guess what? You know who's going to be the first people to fuck around and find out? That's going to be the very same thugs who are out there rounding people up without due process because they're not smart enough to know what they're doing and they have not been trained. They're going to end up losing their freedom because of a cult leader and someone who's just as dumb as them, but maybe just smart enough to co-opt them into becoming subhumans. So ICE, fuck you.
So here we go, common sense with Van Silk. everything that's going on in Minnesota. We all seen the video. Now, either we're stupid or they think we're stupid. But we all seen the video. There was no excuse into how this man was murdered. I don't care what anybody say. I don't care what Christy Nome say. I don't care what Davino, whatever the hell his name is, wannabe Nazi leader who's an immigrant whose family snuck into this country. Alex was directing traffic, taking pictures, minding his own damn business. Y'all know that. We don't want to hear nothing about what occurred to them. Or why was he there? Why was y'all there? That y'all went and shoved 2 women to the ground and it was all good, right? It was just all good. And when Alex went there to help the women up is when y'all approached him and stood up to him. And as y'all was trying to drag him, he was still holding on to his camera in one hand and the woman in the other. And then another one of you ICE agent pigs came and separated Alex's hand from the women. And then y'all jumped him like a bunch of pigs. Ooh, your day is gonna come. Y'all day will come because y'all, those pictures in your phone and everything you'll do is gonna be saved. And y'all day is gonna come. And everybody gonna plead the fifth and y'all gonna go to jail. Y'all took his gun, which he's legally to carry. But y'all want to spin it tomorrow. Oh, he was out there to come and kill a bunch of agents. Oh, come on, man. That's committing suicide just to come out there and want to just start shooting people. That's not even the type of person he is. He didn't, you're trying to say he had a record. He had a couple of parking tickets. Who ain't got parking tickets? It's cool when Christy Nome shot her dog, wasn't it? Y'all praised that. Y'all should be liable for just misinformation, man. I mean, if somebody of us gave out the wrong information, we can get arrested for shit like this. Obstruction of justice. What do y'all think y'all doing by sitting up here and telling us what this man did? We all seen it. What investigations? The same thing y'all did with Renee Good situation. Where's the gun? Where's the investigation? Y'all want to investigate yourself. Y'all a bunch of fucking liars, man. We gotta have an investigation because we don't. Why was he here before? And this and that. And he came waving a gun and no, he didn't. Doc King doing none of that. Y'all killed that poor man. You're heartless. But you know what's gonna happen? God got something for y'all. I wouldn't sleep easy at night if I was y'all, because God gonna have a plan for y'all. Y'all dirty. Y'all nasty. The whole administration is nasty. Y'all murdered this man for no apparent reason. How many times y'all shot holes in this man's lifeless body? See, y'all doing your sacrificials. You're sacrificing white people so you don't start killing black people. Yo, it won't be, oh, whoa, they killed white people too. I already know what y'all doing. That's how y'all think. That's what y'all really wanted to do, but y'all had to off a couple of white people first. So y'all can come around and say, yeah, well, you know, that was yeah, you have to. I can't wait. If everything changed, I want to see how y'all gonna act when you're not in power. We need to keep Alligator Alcatraz open for all of y'all. Pam Bondi, Christy Nome, all of y'all. So y'all can all be there together like good fellas. This is Van Silk. Common sense. I'm out.
He was peaceful and well within his rights to hold his camera and record what federal agents were doing. When he was attacked, he was pepper sprayed at point blank range, and then he was tackled by 5 or 6 federal agents. They then disarmed him of something that he was carrying legally with a license, and only then, after he was disarmed with 5 or 6 people on top of him, getting, I don't know, pistol whipped or hit with maybe a can of OC spray, It was only then, when he had his face towards the ground and multiple people on top of him, that he was executed. But he wasn't just executed. They kept firing after he was clearly limp, after he was clearly lifeless. They kept dumping rounds into his body as he was face down, stone cold dead. You've seen the videos. You've heard the videos. You heard how long it was between the first shot, which might have been an accidental discharge by the very person who disarmed that man, and the amount of time between the last shot. When everybody else had already cleared away, they kept shooting. The Department of Homeland Security, Stephen Miller, the White House are branding this man a terrorist. Alex Pretti was a patriot, doing his patriotic duty. He was an ICU nurse who served veterans, critically ill veterans. He was murdered by cowards who, if they had done this in a combat zone, wearing a U.S. military uniform, they'd be court-martialed and they'd spend the rest of their lives in jail. It is not enough to simply abolish ICE. We need to prosecute ICE. Every one of these masked thugs need to be prosecuted. You see, the White House, Pam Bondi, and the DOJ, they're getting cute, saying they're going to use the KKK Act to prosecute peaceful protesters. Well, you know what? The KKK Act, it includes provisions about how even if a federal agent is acting within the color of law to strip someone of their civil rights, they can be prosecuted under the KKK Act. So, you want to talk about the KKK Act? Let's talk about it, because this is what we're going to be using. This is what the next administration needs to use to prosecute not just ICE, but everyone at Department of Homeland Security and everyone at DOJ who is enabling the stripping of civil rights and the murder of Americans and immigrants. Because you know what? If you're on American soil, the American Constitution protects you. You don't have to be born here. It's called the rule of law. We are supposed to be a nation based in laws. That is what the Constitution is. Look, I understand that you might be scared, terrified, exhausted right now, and that's okay, because you're human. But let me share a hard truth with you. Things are going to get a lot worse before they get better. And the only way that they're ever going to get better is if more people step up and fight. And that doesn't necessarily mean going out and confronting ICE in the street. Doesn't necessarily mean protesting. If you have the resources to give to soup kitchens and pantries that are distributing food and necessary supplies to terrified families in Minnesota right now. If you have nothing else but the phone in your hand right now that you're using to watch this video, please engage in videos that talk about this. Just simply showing the algorithm that this is important, that people care about this, that people want justice, that is not nothing. You are participating in a real resistance. If you are planning to go out and observe ICE, I want you to do me a favor, and if you have the resources to do this, please buy yourself a body cam or a GoPro, something that you can wear so that you can keep both of your hands free as you observe them. As you've seen in a bunch of videos, when you get pepper sprayed, if you're trying to take care of your phone before they tackle you, like, you're in for some trouble. I know not everybody has the money to spend a few $100 on something like a GoPro and a chest harness to wear it on. But if you have these resources and you're going to do that, that will help you at least just a little bit. If you are going to carry, never carry behind you. If you're going to carry, make sure that you are taking courses, self-defense classes that will teach you how to responsibly handle this type of equipment. And just keep in mind that these maniacs, these ICE thugs, are looking for any reason, any excuse to murder more Americans. So if you are going to be armed, please know that if they can put their hands on you at any point, for any reason, that could be a death sentence. Not one that you deserve, but one that they will try to impose on you.
As they get ready to destroy the reputation of this guy and call him a domestic T, say he was an extremist and everything else, go ahead and take a look at this video.
May we never forget and always remember our brothers and sisters who have served so that we may enjoy the gift of freedom. So in this moment, we remember and give thanks for their dedication and selfless service to our nation in the cause of our freedom. In this solemn hour, we render our honor and our gratitude.
That's who he was. He was an ICU nurse at a VA hospital. He was giving the last salute to a veteran who passed. That's how much respect he had for his country and for the people who had served, for you and I. He was also, according to the news channels, this guy.
His neighbor of 3 years said Alex had a dog who passed away in the past year or so. She said, quote, "I remember how sweet he was with his dog, and the dog was more elderly, less mobile. He'd be willing to carry him down to the yard to get some fresh air and to enjoy the outdoors. His dog would lay down and Alex would just sit with him and pet him for long periods of time. He was caring. You could tell. We were all heartbroken and praying for his family and friends and for justice for him."
Just a regular good guy who felt compelled to do something about what he was seeing done to his community. So when you hear they call him a domestic tea, an extremist, and all this other kind of crap, remember this video. So if you can, please share, please multiply it. We're going against a massive propaganda machine from the right that is going to destroy his reputation. Maybe if we share this and other videos like it, we can do a little bit of counter to what will happen. I'm Alex in my rant, and I'm out.
Well, we now have more information on the Minneapolis shooting. Alex Jeffrey Pretti, 37 years old, shot dead in the streets of Minneapolis for doing nothing more than filming ICE agents in the conduct of their duties on public streets, which is his constitutional right under the First Amendment. They come out of the vehicles, they confront him, he is videotaping them, he has a video camera in his hand, not a firearm. They take him to the ground, swarm him, and yes, he was legally carrying a firearm. Again, our Second Amendment rights. Where are the Second Amendment activists? The gun is taken away from him, and then he is shot multiple times, apparently by more than one ICE agent. This is murder. This is reckless disregard of human rights. He should be criminally prosecuted, and it is totally irresponsible for the head of DHS to come out and say that this was a justified shooting, for suggesting that these agents have absolute immunity in their duties, to suggest that people who are videotaping are domestic terrorists and are impeding ICE officers when they have every right under the Constitution to do it. My God, what have we become? What have we allowed? We have a monster in the White House who is encouraging this type of activity. And now, recently, the billions of dollars for ICE, President Trump insisted that they can now arrest American citizens and not just be used for immigration enforcement. We are all next. I mean, this guy was out there exercising his right, 37 years old, his life taken away from him because you have poorly trained, masked goons into the streets, utilizing heavy artillery, pulling guns where there is no danger to themselves, which is a constitutional violation themselves, hiding behind masks as they do it, and being told by the people in charge, these so-called leaders, do whatever you need to do. They are encouraging the killing of American people in our streets. Enough is enough. Congress have to act. We have to have fair elections, but I'm afraid that November is too late. Too many people are dying. Keep speaking out. Stay safe out there. And let us hope for a better future.
Y'all ain't mad enough. Especially white folks. You know how I know? Because they just killed another unarmed white person in broad daylight. That person wasn't blocking traffic. He wasn't in a vehicle. He wasn't threatening officers. Matter of fact, he was just standing off to the side filming, as he is allowed to do as an American citizen. And not one, not two, but 6 agents walked over to him, beat him, and shot him at least 10 times. Broad daylight. Y'all ain't mad enough. And maybe it's shock. Maybe a lot of y'all are shocked that it got this bad this quickly. Maybe a lot of y'all are shocked that the game y'all played in November turned out like this. Maybe a lot of y'all are shocked that y'all have to fight an enemy that looks like you. Because in this country, y'all have been told historically that only black and brown people are the problem. You only have to look out for black and brown people, and you're finding out the hard way that that couldn't be further from the truth. Maybe y'all don't know how to fight an enemy that looks like you. And I ain't talking about getting violent, because you can't give them that. They want the violence, because if you give them the violence, then that means they don't have to govern. There's a way to fight this. If your elected officials are comfortable, you're not mad enough. If your elected officials keep lying to your fucking faces and won't do a damn thing to protect you, even though that's the job you gave them, you are not mad enough. This revolution will not be convenient. No revolution has ever been convenient for the people that had to start it. You won't be able to hashtag your way out of this. You won't be able to wear a t-shirt every other weekend. You got to be boots to the ground. You ain't getting black people in these streets. Not these streets. We will be easier targets. You should be fighting with your money. If you still giving these corporations your money, you not mad enough. If you still going out to social and sporting events, going about your everyday life, going into work like, oh yeah, just blow over, you ain't mad enough. The only way we fix this is to acknowledge why it's happening. This is happening at the hands of a system that a lot of y'all have benefited from. That doesn't mean that I don't have sympathy for white people that are fighting this. I feel bad for the Renee Goods, and I feel bad for this man that lost his life. I feel bad for their families. I feel bad for any person that is fighting for a better society. But this is a fight that y'all have to fight because it started by a system that y'all helped create and that a lot of y'all have benefited from. Y'all ain't mad enough. And until y'all get mad enough, until y'all figure out the way to fight this and make your voices heard and be willing to be inconvenient, it will get worse. And lastly, to the people out there, I'm talking about all people, all the content creators, a lot of y'all I know that won't say a goddamn thing about any of this, trust and know this. Eventually, it will get to a point to where you won't be able to ignore this.